Hi, welcome back to my channel. It's me, Faye the Bookworm. Today we're going to be talking about The Killers of the Flower Moon by David Grann. This is about the murder of the Osage Indians and the FBI being created. It's based in like the 1920s, 1930s in the United States. This book is not really what I expected it was going to be, because when I was doing research online, I thought it was going to be a true crime novel, but it's not. It's like a non-fiction, journalist, investigative, almost like biography feel to it. Usually those books can be a little boring. It's a lot of facts and information getting thrown at you. But I did enjoy this one, most of it. It's very interesting, very heart-wrenching. I can see why they made a movie about it. I'm going to watch that soon. Now, Killers of the Flower Moon is broken into 3 parts. The first part follows our main character, Mollie Burkhart, in the 1920s. She's an Indian, and her sister gets shot, and then a couple months go by, and her other sister and her husband get blown up, and she herself is starting to fall ill and is very worried, and so she reached out to get help from the local police, and basically they're all corrupt. Nobody helps her. So finally the government sends in this guy named Tom White, and the second part of the book is Tom White showing up and investigating all these murders, and he finds out basically that like the bankers, the doctors, the husbands, the court, like they're all in on this, because I forgot to mention the Osage Indians are actually very rich. They sold their land, but they kept the mineral rights to the land, and the whole area was like an oil field. So the Osage Indians get the money from that oil field, and so all these white men moved there and were angry that they're rich and started marrying them and killing them all off to get the money. That's what Tom White discovers, and he discovers that the ringleader is Mollie Burkhart's husband and her husband's uncle, and they go to trial and they are found guilty, but they are not put to death because their white jurymen don't want to put them to death, which 1920s and 1930s, that was very common. Like, you did a crime and you got the death penalty, essentially. Now, the third part, I did not care for. It is David Grann in the 21st century now, and he is further investigating this, visiting the families, getting all the facts, finding, diaries and newspaper clippings and photos and stuff, and he thinks that the number of Indians murdered is way higher than they thought in the 1920s, like car wrecks. What they perceived was suicides, illnesses, like a huge amount of the Indians were mysteriously ill and passing away at an alarming rate. And so David Grann goes and visits the families and basically finds out that it was like in the hundreds rather in the 1920s. They thought it was like 30. So that is like a summary for Killers of the Flower Moon. I did like it. Like I said, the first and the second part I enjoyed. The third I did not. The third I just found very dry and dragged on, because like we find out a lot of information in the first and second part. So the third part, to me, I would have been happier without it. But I like hearing that they found there was more Indians that were victims of this, but I don't know. It was dry to me. I really enjoyed the first part because it was more personalized, talking through Mollie's point of view, and I think that's what I need to relate to a book, is a character that I can relate to, I think a lot of us are like that. But yeah, that's it. That's my review. It's a short one. This book would do really well in like a high school class or a college class as like assigned reading if they're doing research about the time after like the Trail of Tears and all that, and you know, once the Indians sold their land or got forced onto reservations, what happened to them. This is a good example because Mollie Burkhart grew up in one of the Indian schools, you know, like where they were forced to send their kids, and their kids were made to believe all of the new white people's beliefs of like Christianity and manners and dress proper and this and that. Yeah, I really did enjoy the journalistic investigative side of it. It is a very gripping and heart-wrenching tale because you're hearing about all these people passing away, and then her finding out that it was her husband, and they got I guess some interviews of some snippets she said where she was just so upset, and they had 2 children together, you know. But yeah, maybe give this a read if you're interested. It's not gonna be for everybody, but I did enjoy it, you know. So bye. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.